Well, hello and welcome to the Alpha Anywhere Demo and Q&A webcast. I'm Dave McCormick, VP of Product Management here at Alpha Software, and I'm pleased to present Dion McCormick, no relation, who is our Lead Solutions Engineer here at Alpha. Today, Dion is going to be giving you an update on Instant Update. That's right, an Instant Update. But more importantly, he's here to answer your questions. We've had a few that were sent in over the week. But it's not too late to ask them, so go ahead and type your questions into the chat box of the WebEx meetings. We're recording this session. We do have a new video library at alphasoftware.com/videos. We will have next week's up very shortly, probably within the next day or so, and this one should be up on Monday. So let's get started. Hello, Dion, are you there? I think I put you on mute, so let me take you off.
There you go. I am here.
All right, perfect.
Excellent.
Go ahead and make you the presenter.
Okay.
Dialog box. I'll let you know when
coming in through.
Great.
Hearing in.
I'll let you know when I can see your screen. And
hear you in
your
stereo. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you, everybody. I hope everybody's not down with the flu. The plague is out there badly, and it's been amazing how many people have gotten hit just in our company and everywhere. So I hope everybody's feeling good, or if they weren't so feeling good before, they're feeling good now. And so we want to say thank you for joining us this week. And as Dave said, we're here for you. So take a moment to put in the chat window any questions that you have we'd like to try and cover today. And we'll do everything in our power to do so. And remember, before, and as he mentioned, which is really good, people will send emails to guides@alphasoftware.com, and that allows us to kind of get ahead of the curve, and it allows us to prep and be prepared and help you out. So feel free during the week, if you have an interesting topic, a question, or anything like that, send it to guides@alphasoftware.com, and we keep an eye on that, and we try to move that into our process as quickly as we can. Now, as we mentioned last week, we've got AlphaKit DevCon 2018 is ready to go, so you can go to Alpha Software. You can register now. You can see the venue, see the schedule. A lot of really cool stuff, a lot of really enhancements this year in terms of how we're presenting, and I think you're going to really find it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a real fun event, and it's down in Orlando, which is a beautiful, beautiful area, beautiful venue that will allow you to enjoy the sunshine while learning a lot in the fall time frame, which is very, very cool. One other thing I wanted to mention, too, is that Alpha is growing dramatically quickly. We are very, very busy across the board, and specifically in a key area we're busy in is our professional services group that provides assistance not only to other developers, but in companies. And we do a combination of mentoring and professional services where we'll do full-blown projects for people, small projects, big projects, you name it. And we're always looking for more individuals to help it out. Again, we're really busy. We have new opportunities, new things coming in every day. So if you are interested, drop us a line at guides@Alpha Software to say, hey, I might be interested in helping you out, either doing some mentoring with us, coaching other people, or helping us with specific projects that we have going on. And we'd love to have more of our talented developers working closely with us to allow us to do this. So again, drop a line to guides@alphasoftware.com. We'll pass you along to Greg, who runs the PSG group, and he's going to be working with people to qualify them and find out what they can do and how we can work together to be successful for both of us. Pretty good from that standpoint. So today, I wanted to go back through, and let me jump down here. There we go. I wanted to go through a update on Instant Update. Speed you won't believe. Well, first I want to kind of recap last week. I don't know who attended, but it's amazing that for whatever reason this week, Dave, I had more people ever say, hey, I was on your webinar than anybody had ever seen or had ever heard before. And it was like, oh, great, the perfect week for you to be on my webinar. But we want to give you an update. It turned out
last week.
It was, it was funny. It was crazy. It's like karma.
It was interesting in so many ways last time. But
yes. Well, what it turned out was that there was a pre-release that day. I had not upgraded it. So when my server, anyway, bottom line is you have to kind of it is pre-release, so give it a heads up, but make sure that you're updating on the new pre-releases, and we continue to enhance and improve it. But I want to kind of do a real quick recap of last week. So we'll do a recap. So first, things started out beautifully. As you can see, Instant Update was just cruising, sail along, looking good, and we were doing some overview work. Then we kind of started to see a little problem. It kind of started, I thought I would be okay. I'd steer around this thing, but didn't there. And it was bad. It was really, the humanity of my demo. It was just incredible. Yeah. But luckily, in our case, everybody was able to get off the boat. Now, this is different from historical reference there. And as you can see, I have some live pictures of people getting off our demo and getting prepared and ready to be picked up by boats in the water. And nobody died. And so we were very happy about our demo not being able to do that. But that said, that's all kidding aside. We didn't exactly give you the impression we were trying to get at. And again, that's shame on me for doing early pre-release. But again, for people who weren't with us last week, normally when you create a alpha application for the mobile phone, you develop it in alpha, you send it through the PhoneGap build system, it goes up, you can either download it directly or go in the app stores, and then it goes right here. And then it talks back and forth between the app server to do syncs and updates and whatever thing you need to do from that standpoint. Well, alpha now has a new capability called Instant Update. So again, what you would have to do is every time you change your app, you have to go through this process. And, it could be a pain to go through this and send it back out to everybody, make sure everybody's updated and those kind of things here. Now what you can do is once you've done that process once, you do what's called a base build, and you include the new Instant Update feature. From then on, all you have to do is publish to our server setup. It's actually on Amazon S3. Let me get rid of that. And you can either use ours or you can use your own S3, and then we'll automatically update that app running in the field. And it's super powerful because it allows you to update apps without going through the whole process. It's very reliable in terms of how S3 is up and running all there. Once we're fully production, it's going to be there. But also we include some rollback and version management. And again, it's available in pre-release, very key there. So I want to go through a quick demo and show you how it works here, and hopefully we won't have the same experience we had last week in terms of going on there. And in fact, there's been a few little enhancements I want to give you. So I created an app, all normal, ready to go kind of app, and so everything you do normally, do the normal. Then you go into PhoneGap, and you'll notice that instead of seeing the normal PhoneGap build, I'm actually getting what's called an Instant Update because I've already created my baseline build, which is the first time you send it out to the field. And so therefore, what this will do is this is going to run the process where instead of going to PhoneGap and building it, it will actually put it up on the server so that the system can download it and bring it into the thing. So let's go ahead and look at our app right now. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and do a build, or actually I'm going to open it up, and if this works properly, we're going to cast here to the screen. So I'll go here. I'm going to cast this. So let's see if it works this week. We had two kind of problems last week. There we go. Okay, looking better. So you'll see here's my app, and it has some buttons, some information, some version information, etc. And right here I have a button that's called Say Hello. When I tap that, it just brings up an alert. So this is running on my local machine. So I have it, and it runs, and it's an app that runs on that machine. It went through the PhoneGap and did everything else. Now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to change this button to say howdy. And I'm going to go ahead and edit it and do a message box, and I'm going to instead say howdy there. So I've changed that. And let's go ahead and go down here to this version right here and change it to be 9. Okay. So I've saved that. So I've made my changes. Now I go back here and I hit PhoneGap. And again, before I would have to go through the process of rebuilding, but now I can click here. You'll see that it takes all the files. Now this is new this week. Actually, just added it. We're actually adding version numbers into your build. So before there was a build number, but now there's actually a cool thing. So you can actually track your own kind of builds if you want to and put a description in there. And that helps during rollback. So now I've done that. I click OK. It has now published that to the server. So now I have published those updates to the server. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go ahead and exit out. And I'm going to go ahead and relaunch the app. And then in the app, you're going to see it's going to do a check And the install version is number 5, and you'll notice now that, oh, look, instead of saying hello, it says say howdy and howdy there. Pretty cool, huh? So I didn't have to go through it. Now I have that. So if I had a bug or a fix, and also notice my version number down here has changed. But there's actually something even cooler that's been added. So I'm going to go back in. I'm going to go back into my app, and I'm going to change my my version to 1.0, and I make a few other changes, things like that. But I have a button in here. And I'm going to go ahead and enable that button. And I'm going to show you I've added a new button in there. Oops, come on. Save it. Bear with me. I was moving too quick as usual. And again, using pre-release, so. I have to just do this real quick. I just wanted to update that. Of course, live demo. Oh, there we go. It came back. Okay, it just had to do something here. So I've got this new button called Update App Version that's available there. So I've enabled that button. I've got my new version there. I'm going to save this. So it's saving my updates here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my PhoneGap. I'm going to update it. So you'll see it's going to go ahead and it's looking at all the project changes. I'm going to go ahead and go 0.90010. Oops. And again, this is up to you. There's no rhyme or reason you can use any method, but it helps you tracking what's done there. Updating it. Okay. Now I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to exit out. And I'll go ahead and launch back into it. And now you should hopefully see a new button there, which I think it will. Notice the new version there. And you'll see I have a new button here called Update App Version. Now, let's go in. You'll notice here's the update. So now, one last time, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add my new functionality. So I'm going to change the version number there. And let's say I change some. I'm just going to do that for simplicity's sake and just go save. But you could do any kind of changes you wanted on this. Now what I'm going to do is go in here and I'm going to go to PhoneGap and I'm going to update my update to the server. And this goes through the same process here. So I'll go 0.90011. I believe that's what it was. And up to date, so it's up on the server. Now I'm going to go back into my app. Now I'm going to do something cool. Before I was exiting out of the app, but watch. I'm going to click here and say Update App Version. And watch what happens. It reloads the app, and here's my new changes right here. So that's a new capability, the new versioning, and also the ability within your own app. You don't actually have to exit out of the app and go back in. You can actually add that in. And all it is a little piece of JavaScript you add to your button here. Nope, not that button. This button right here that says Instant Update Refresh, and it does that single line of text does all that for you. So I hope this gives you a little bit more confidence over the capability. And as you can see, now what you can do is instead of having to go through the process of loop, boom, you can move much quicker just because you can make these changes and update your apps that have been out in the field. I'm personally using it for my demonstrations and my my prototyping right now because it's just so much easier. I just say change, set it up, and then refresh the app. I can actually add it to, say, for instance, I can put it on this little menu here and have it there and say refresh app and be able to do that from within there. And now I can just do there. And since it's a PhoneGap app, it has all of the capabilities of PhoneGap in terms of the hardware, the imaging, everything else that's associated with it. Now I want to show you one other cool thing. And one of the reasons we added the versioning is that you notice when we put a version. Now I can click rollback version. And that's one of the key capabilities is I can actually tell the system to put a previous version of my published app up on the server so you can actually refresh the people out in the field. And you'll notice now it's tracking and putting in this description in here. And again, it's up to you to be the one actually doing that. And the important thing about there is that if you put a version number in a description, you can say, oh, you know what, I need to go back to this one. That's the one where I want to go back to. So it just allows you to do it. So this is the internal version, like the deployment number. So we're on number 8. Here is your version number, and here's your date and time and a description that you can enter in. So this makes it easier for you to kind of figure out, oh, I should go back to that one. I want to put that one back out. And again, if I go like that and say OK, and I've we'll put it back. Now I'm going to go here and I'm going to say update app version. And in a moment, it's gone back to the number 8 one. And you'll notice my button's gone. I'm back to say howdy, etc. And now my older version is on there. So you can see that's really cool because it allows you to, if you make a mistake or you have a problem, you want to go back, you don't have to go through and rebuild everything, redeploy it. Inside the app, you can just, or inside the development system, you can say, hey, I just want to redeploy the old one and go in there. And again, conversely, if I go in here and I go here and I say I want to roll back to a previous version, I can always go, back to the most newest one and click OK. And now when I go back and we'll do this, we'll do I don't have my button anymore, so I have to go out. So remember your button. Don't delete that off there. I can go here and go back in there. Yeah, so the install is at 6. I wonder if it's going to update to the 8 there. Yeah, notice it updated it. It brought in my buttons back. So again, you can kind of go forwards and back, sort of our quick backup that we had before. And I'm going to go ahead and close this now. We're done with that. So that is Instant Update. I think that went a little smoother than last week. So I think that was pretty happy there. It's more of what we're anticipating.
Far fewer casualties this week.
Yes, exactly. No souls lost on this demo this week. So again, pre-release, we're still kind of optimizing, doing our testing and everything else. So use wisely, as we always say. Would not use this in a production environment yet, but very soon we'll be releasing it into production once we really hammer it out. And we're starting to use it for our own applications and other pieces there. But that is Instant Update. And I tell you, once you start using it, you'll never go back. It just makes life easier. Now, remember, if you add new PhoneGap plugins or do something different, you have to do what's called a rebaseline build, which means you rebuild the app from the ground up, put it through the App Store, etc. But if you're just doing internal kind of things, new UX components, new stuff inside the app like I was doing today, then you don't need to go through all that process. So that is Instant Update. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to our friend Dave, and he can take it from there.
Excellent. So we have some Instant Update questions.
Excellent.
And the first
Thank
one
you.
is Instant Update only available with Alpha Cloud, or can it be used with, on regular Alpha IIS hosting?
Can be used with regular IIS. It does. There's no requirement of a specific backend server. The one thing you'll want to know is when I do an Instant Update, I set up where I'm publishing it. And so let me go ahead and go to a profile. No, it's not profile. PhoneGap. I'll say new baseline build. So it goes here. And so you enable Instant Update, but then in the settings here, you can use Alpha's S3 instance. So this is kind of built in. Feel free to use it. But if you want, you can use your own private S3 bucket. So if you don't want it to be on our S3 bucket, you can. So there's no dependency on any kind of backend like the Alpha server or the, for this to work, it's all kind of done on the front end. But do be aware you can have 2 different places you can put these updates. So when it wraps it up, it puts it up on an Amazon S3 bucket, and then the person who downloads it, it comes from there. The app calls up, has a specific place to go, and grabs that data. And again, that can be either ours or yours that's available there. So really up to you in terms of how you want to manage that. But again, no dependency on Alpha Cloud or IIS or anything along those lines. Although I highly recommend using Alpha Cloud because as easy as this makes, it makes managing the server side much easier on Alpha Cloud than ever before. It's really powerful.
Great. Another question, the versioning part is cool, but is this versioning only available if you're using PhoneGap?
Well, it's only associated with the Instant Update, yes. So this versioning capability was added to Instant Update. So the issue is that when we would do rollbacks, it would just say 1 through 10, and I had no way of knowing what the content was that. By adding a version number and a description, it allows you to then say, okay, I'm about to push this new update where I add a new feature. Put that in there. Sort of like get commits, kind of similar. And then that way, if you ever wanted to find out what the previous version rolled back, it was going to be easier to find that out. So it's really only integrated with the Instant Update process.
So Instant Update is only integrated with PhoneGap, you mean? I mean,
That
it
is,
makes
oh
sense
yes,
with
incredible.
PhoneGap.
Yeah, it relies on a PhoneGap. When it builds the baseline app, it includes a set of libraries that are been built by us that enables this refresh capability.
I see. Um, so on that subject, 'cause I presume the person isn't interested in using PhoneGap, probably doing web or something. Can you show us? 'Cause I understand that Alpha does keep track of revisions of your UXs as you're working on them. Can you
Yes.
show us what you do if, for example, you goofed and you saved a version that you didn't mean to? How do you go back in time?
Oh, good, good. No, thank you. And this was kind of very similar. So I've got my app here, and I'm in the development environment. I'm going to go to my web projects control panel. And this is kind of where, for people who are new, this is where we manage all the different files that are part of my project. So you'll see in here web components, and then I have my app_ux. And that's what I've been edited there. Now, the cool feature with an alpha is that every time you save it, and I'm going to right click, every time you save this app, it kind of creates a version of it. So it's actually inside of alpha, it's creating backup copies of every time you save it. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go down here to restore backup. So I right click on the control in the web projects control panel and go to the restore backup. And now you'll see the history of when I have saved this. And all it's doing is giving you a date timestamp and a unique number. So what it allows you to do is you can actually enter and text yourself manually, but the reality is you can say, oh, I screwed up. I'll go back like 4 versions, restore that. And then when I restore it, it's going to be what it was when that was saved at that moment. And again, I can go back and forth here. So this basically just zips up a copy every time you save a control, either a grid or a UX, so that you can quickly restore that or go back in time if you've screwed something up or you want to go back and grab something out from that standpoint. And reality is it's doing is it's saving a whole bunch of zip files, and they're all uniquely named by the system. It does all this internally. But as you can see, it's saving a whole bunch of zip backup files, and then I can just pick and choose which ones I want to restore. And that's on by automatic. And then you can do things like you can delete history and other things, clean that up. Because over time what will happen is your project files will get bigger and bigger. As you save all these things, it's saving copies of them. So eventually you might go, hey, you know what? I'm really not going to go back to when I first started this November 19th and restore that. So you can actually go in and delete that, and boom, it's gone, and it's gone forever. So there's really no way to recover at that point. But you get rid of the stuff that's in the backup folder, so it reduces the size of it. And you can actually delete all those if you want. There's ways to manage it from there. But again, every time you save this, it's done automatically in the system, and then you just right-click on the file, go to Restore Backup, pick the one you want, restore it, and off to the races. And I guess you can come in here and say, I guess you can add I think this file. Okay, and I'm not sure if it's saved that. Yeah. So actually what you can do is you can actually, like if you had a very important release, this was release 1.0, and you didn't want to remember that, you could go ahead and go in there and put that, and you don't want to jot down the number kind of thing, and you would see, that little description there. But again, that's only just what is the description of that particular backup file. It has no other methods. By the way, another thing you can do just, for your own discipline and stuff like that is if you go to the properties, the information, in the UX builder and also grid, you have this thing called information. And in here you can write a description of what this does. Created by it just automatically was my original file name, the date, and then you can write comments of what it does. And that just is data that's built into this UX file that's handy, so it's just personally, you can do those kind of things there. So that's ways you can help to improve managing the versions. And again, we did a description of how you can use Git. So as you make these changes, you can be checking them into Git and use Git as your method for archiving and backing up and controlling different versions. Because if you want to, the nice thing about Git is, let's say you change 4 or 5 UXs. You say, okay, check it all in, publish. You go, ruh-roh, something went wrong. I can go into Git and say, hey, reverse that commit. And what it will do is restore all the previous versions of the things I changed back to my system. So it's like one fell swoop. So you don't have to manage things as closely here. So on a micro scale, you can use the restore backup, but then I would highly suggest that something like Git to do it on a more of a macro scale. Like I'm getting ready to publish a new release. So you check all those things into Git, do the publishing. If you have any problems, you can always roll back.
Terrific. Looking at another instant update question. This has to do with the, hang on, let me adjust my volume. So I was told that I was a little bit quiet. Hopefully it's coming through a little bit better.
Yes.
So the question is, if you use that JavaScript command, that new one, to refresh, but your instant update, so you put in like your button, right? But you already are on the current version, what does it do?
It just refreshes whatever the most current version is. So it actually will update there. So
it'll overwrite, but keep in mind it's not data, it's just the code.
Yeah, and so what it's doing is up on the server, there's the most greatest version, and when you do an update, it's just going to grab whatever that. So that's why the rollback works, because you can say, no, this is the one I want you to have on the server, and says, okay, I'm going to bring that down and update your app for you.
Gotcha. Let me see, there are a couple other questions, but they don't have to do with instant updates. One quick thing I want to point out, though, is
go ahead.
Is that new video library is at alphasoftware.com/videos. It is very mobile unfriendly at the moment, but it is functional and it is being updated. So that is the one I would suggest that you use. We're going to do a web application version of this as well as making it more friendly for mobile devices using regular web if you don't want to install an app.
And we have 2,646 videos available with, I think, over how many thousand hours of video?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I almost
so
don't want to think about it.
You could start today and then come back a year from now, and I think you'll have finished all the videos at that point. We can sit down and talk about it.
Yeah. Be a lot of binge watching there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we're going to put all this on Netflix. That's the next thing we're going to do. Yeah, we've just that was a secret. Our contract negotiations on Netflix. Sorry about that. Ignore what I said.
Right, and it would be great though if we had a system, and someone's actually recommending this, where you could log in and it could say you've already watched the following videos. So I think that would be a really neat feature to add.
And I want to give credit where credit due. Dave is driving this, but really Sarah, who's online with us, has been putting an enormous amount of effort on continue to make our documentation, bring all these videos from all over the place, really doing a fabulous job of making it easier to find the information you need when you get stuck or when you're trying to learn about something. So hats off to her for really helping us get all these pieces together, and it's a work in process. So if you have ideas, concepts, let us know, because we are going to continue enhancing this and making it the best online documentation site for you as possible.
Always send an email to guides, GUIDES, at alphasoftware.com, or for this one, you could do documentation at alphasoftware.com. Let's see what else we've got here for questions. Feedback I take that back. For the library, just send it to documentation at alphasoftware.com. We'll have Sarah take a look at it first. Anyway, lots of people will see it if you send it there. Is there some sort of JavaScript method or something that can let you know whether or not you're current? Is there a way of checking in your app?
That is great.
As soon as we add a feature, someone's going to ask for another feature. I don't know that we have that one in. Yeah.
This is the classic, give the mouse a cookie. What's going to happen? I've only read that book 3,000 times, so it gets old. But not at this time that I'm aware of. Let me go ahead and go, hold on here. Let me add another button, and it might be in there. But yeah, I can see where you want to say, hey, what is my current version I'm running there? And then potentially say, okay, do an update, refresh, or if it's too old, do this. Or actually what I'm thinking is you can look at it and say, okay, I've got to do some things to the data before I update it. Or, this is, again, it's a pre-release function. It's our first version. So we're looking forward to seeing that. Oh, that's unbound. No, that's all there. So there's no instant update commands in there yet. But that's a great idea. We'll pass that along to our development team. And that makes sense, because what you may want to do is when you run, by the way, this is a little more advanced, but for people who are running JavaScript, or when you are running a PhoneGap, there are a couple there's on PhoneGap Ready, right? I think it's on PhoneGap Ready. So when you have a PhoneGap app, you can actually trigger JavaScript right here. And so therefore, if when it first launches on the device, you want to say, like for instance, a classic of this is, I want to register this machine for notifications or do something like that. Then you would do that here. The other one's on render complete, I think, is the other one. We also put things right here. And you can see the information down here of what it does. So what I could see where someone would want to say, hey, check my version or do something, and then if it's this or this, then do this. So it allow you to kind of add some behavioral control, so it just doesn't update. So you
let them know there's a new version, but
exactly.
maybe they have in a place with junky bandwidth, and it's going to take a while to upload it. So
yeah, or like send them someone and say, hey, click here to refresh your data first, then do an update, because you may want to make sure that maybe you've made some big changes and you want them to sync all their data before they actually do it, because they may have some data that's on the machine that hasn't been synced. So I could see that. But those are great concepts and great ideas. So please send those ideas into guides@alphasoftware.com, and we'll pass those along to the development team, because they're looking for like the versioning stuff, and the ability to put a button inside was just added recently based on some client requests. This little command right here, because before you had to get out of it and go back in. And it's like, well, if I'm doing prototyping, I just want to hit a button and do it. But I could see where now we can take it. So we're very excited, and I think it's really going to grow in kind of strength and capabilities as people start to use it and as we add more features in the future. But great idea. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So we have some harder questions, but we also don't have a lot of questions left over. So please go ahead and start typing them in to the chat window of WebEx if you'd like us to answer some. Hey, the one we should start with is someone wrote into us a day or so ago, and said they'd like to have their employees are using tablets as part of a web application, so they're always connected. But they want to make sure that if an employee leaves a tablet on the table after a certain amount of time, their session will expire, so that someone can't just pick it up and start entering new data. They need to relog in again. So so I asked the question, well, are you using the Alpha Anywhere security framework? And they were. So really, that is something that you get for free. But one thing that we could show you is where you exactly set that and how long that session should go on for. So I'm going to let Dion do that.
Great question. So the nice thing is session is set by project. So if you had like 3 or 4 projects running on that server, you could change them as needed. So you'll see there's project properties. So in the web projects control panel here, you go to project properties. And this item right here, session lifetime in minutes, is where you set the minutes that the session. Once it times out, it will, then the session's dead, and it will force you to relog in and do other things like that. So all you need to do, and notice this is only when you're publishing to IIS server. Now this is very important. There's 2 ways to handle this. One is if you're using IIS, you actually put it here in project properties. Now, if you're not, bear with me. Let me go to my server real quick. Then you need to go to the server and set it on the server. So again, IIS has some nice little features that are available.
IIS and Alpha Cloud also is.
Oh yeah, Alpha Cloud.
Yep.
Excuse me, because they're based on there. So I'll go ahead and go here. So I'm just jumping up on my server here. Now I've got my classic here. Okay. Configure server, and it's, where is it? Session. There we go. Okay, so I went through a little quick, but on your server you will see there's a little icon here that allows you to manage the server by clicking Configure Server, and then you go. This is the server management side, and then you go over here to Performance, actually Advanced. And in there, you can set the lifetime in minutes session. So you can see here I have it as 180 minutes for that. So in the case of the Classic, it's going to be set at the server level. With IIS and Alpha Cloud, each project can have their own kind of time frame there. So that's how you manage it, either on the Classic server or on the IIS, or the standalone server, the IIS from there. And I did that by going onto the server, accessing the control panel, and setting it from that standpoint there. just so it's not confusing, you're like, wait a minute, well, your server stopped and stuff. Well, I'm actually running this as under a program called Always Up, and so it's actually running Alpha as a server, a server process.
It's a service. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a service on the server. So this allows me to edit it, but if I need to, I actually use my Always Up and other things like that to actually manage the server from there. So I actually have this other program here, and in here I can say, okay, manage this, like restart it. So I'd come in here and I would make my changes. Let's say I wanted to change my session lifetime, and then I would go into Always Up and restart the server. And once I restart the server, it would pick up my new changes here. So I just don't want people to be confused when they see this environment here. So again, recap, if you're on the standalone server, you actually do it at the server there. And then if you are using IIS, in the project properties, you can just set the session lifetime in minutes there, and it will set it for that. And that's the cool thing is if you have IIS, you have like 5 or 6 different things. One could have 5 minutes, one could have 3 hours, one could have 12 days, depending on that application and what the needs of that application are.
Terrific.
Dynamite.
Okay, here's a question that we may not know the answer to in this session, but let's give it a shot. And the question has to do with Node.js. And the question is, let me just grab it.
Sure.
If I can keep track of it. Just scroll away from me. Oops, almost. What's the best way to connect a UX form or a list control to a Node.js Express Server?
And I'm going to have to do research on that.
Typically, you think of Node.js as not necessarily a data source, right, but as a server-side scripting program or server-side scripting language. Yeah,
it's JavaScript on the server.
The question is whether or not it's a Node.js service that has an API, then that would be probably the
Yes. So first and foremost, Node is included with Alpha. So when you run Alpha on the Alpha server, it's running Node. So therefore, it can use its own internal, to make Node calls and things like that. So you can have Node services, modules, and APIs. And what this allows you to do is you can see this is all just JavaScript. So it's done using the JavaScript language is how you do it. So for instance, I'm creating a function here that does hello world, and it's just going to run it instead of in Alpha in the Node service that we launch on the server. And so I have to just say I haven't done a lot with Node, but it allows you to do the Node services. But also very cool is you can actually use Node modules. So what Node modules are is like Dropbox or Facebook or Twitter, or all these people will have preset libraries. They're called modules. And they're just a set of JavaScript files you can download into your application. And therefore, when you go to run and talk to that, you don't have to do low-level code. You have this higher-level Node module you can write against. So it's like a library that's available. So you can create your own. So you can actually create your own Node services. You can run your own little code on the back end right here inside Alpha. You can bring in a Node module and do that. And then I'm still at speed. APIs are a little different. I think it has to do with the new web API integration pieces there. So we may want to do kind of a whole Node walkthrough discussion of that on one of our new ones there. But again, I apologize. You're kind of at the limit of my knowledge. I'm more of an XBasic guy and using XBasic versus Node. But remember, the Node engine is actually included in Alpha, so you don't have to install separate software or anything else. And what you can do is you can create these Node items, and then within Alpha, you can call them from XBasic. Or you can go in and right in your interface, call it directly using JavaScript right in your user interface. So we're doing more and more with Node because the beauty of it is there's a huge amount of modules out there. So we can bring those modules in, make them standard within Alpha, and expose certain capabilities we didn't have to. And instead of us writing everything from the ground up, it allows us to leverage existing integrations and other pieces there. And we have multiple clients that have specific requirements, so they get those Node modules, and then they use the interface to hook it up to them. And it works really, really well. So I apologize. I probably didn't answer your message correctly, but I hope this just gives you a little bit more background on that from within the system.
Excellent. Right, and if you do need more information, just go ahead and send it your email to guides, G-U-I-D-E-S, at alphasoftware.com.
Yeah.
So a couple of good questions here coming up. One is from an Alpha Anywhere newbie who says that they are interested in knowing how to capture geolocation when they take a picture, so they know where the picture was taken.
Well, actually, there's a very cool capability. So let me go ahead and open up just one of my UXs here. And I'm going to add a button here. Okay. And I'm going to add an action called, image capture. Okay. Oh, I have to have a data bound image, so let me go ahead and grab this real quick. Just put it in here real quick so it will work, and I can just show you the action JavaScript. So there's two ways to do that. I have to have a list detail view. So I'm doing an image capture here, and I can do it either with HTML5 or PhoneGap. So button number 1 is there, but what you can do is when you do that capture, you can actually use the geolocation capabilities to capture geolocation data right before you capture the image. So when you go to trigger this, so there's method number 1 is you actually do 2 action JavaScripts. One is you grab the geolocation data, lat and lon, save that, and then capture the image and then store all that at one time. So that's one method there. But there's another more powerful method, which is pretty cool, which was added a little while back. If I go into my PhoneGap here, and I'm going to say Android, iOS, there is a EXIF capability. So where is that? There we go. Okay. So you can use what's called EXIF. And what EXIF is basically that's what captures all that secondary data when you look at an image, captures what the camera was, what the parameters of it, but including also, I believe, geolocation data, which is included in that. So you can see that probably the best way to do that is use this plugin in your PhoneGap app, because what it will do is it will allow you, and this is showing you where you would get that documentation. But what it actually does, it allows you to access and returns the image as well as the EXIF information, geolocation data as a JSON string. And then you can save that data within there. And I believe there's a video out there that actually walks you through demonstrating this that was done by Bob Moore that allows you to do it. So method number 1 is just you capture the geolocation, then trigger the image, grab it, and then you know that information right there. Or option number 2 is use this plugin into PhoneGap and extract the data from EXIF that is available, and then that allows you to say, okay, capture the image, and then it gives you not only the image back, but also that secondary data that you can use to update your database with that information. So those are your 2 options that are available.
Excellent. We have a couple new cool questions coming in.
Oh, good. They woke up.
They did. All right, this one I like. Let's do this one. Okay, so you've got an offline enabled app, but before you take that app offline, you're going to want to download some data into the application. So, for example, you're a field service person, for example, and there are certain jobs that are assigned to you. So you're going to have certain records that you're going to want to interact with on your device. So when you go out on the field, you don't want everyone's records on your device. You only want your records on the device.
Correct.
How do you go about doing that so that when you start the day and you have a Wi-Fi connection, you say, Alpha, I'd like to download the jobs that relate to me, and there's actually a job assignment field, or assigned to column, I should say.
There you go.
But I don't want to see, Jim's or Fred's or whoever else's.
So, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this. I want to show you how it is created and then how to access it after. So I'll do UX here.
Okay.
And we'll go here. And we'll just go ahead and here. So we have our list control, which is the heart of any offline disconnected app. And we go in here and we set what our data source is. We set what table we get it from. Let's say it's the let's see what's an interesting survey table. And then in the field list, you select what fields you want, etc., blah, blah, blah. But now what you can do is what's called a filter. And the filter allows you to filter the information that comes back from the backend database. So in there, you can refer to a field on the component. So like, let's say when they log in the background, you have a field called customer ID or employee ID. And then you can create your filter command here to say, you know, customer ID is equal to customer ID. And this is a field on the that you've set like during the login or something like that. And then what happens is this filter will be applied when it pulls the data from the server. So the only surveys you will get will be that. And this could be also, you could say, oh, only surveys that are active, or only surveys that are pending, or work orders that are open versus closed. And what's cool is when it does the sync, if these filters doesn't match, it kind of gets rid of the stuff on your local system and cleans up the list. So it not only brings data down, but also kind of cleans up the list and makes sure it's in sync with what's on the server. So what you want to do is use the filter function when you build your list control, because that will define the filter. And then you would just point it to, in this case, you'll see you can bind actually the best way to do it is through arguments. You bind it to a field like on the screen, or to a local session variable. Actually, I think you have to do it to a field on the screen. And then what happens is it will run this filter when it calls the server, and so that person will only get what they're supposed to. And that's actually a very good methodology. It's important to try and minimize the data out on the mobile platform. I mean, mobile platforms are getting more and more powerful and have a lot of space, but again, the more data you have, the more it has to search and sort and update and do all these things. So actually aggressive filtering is one of those key things you want to do to say, hey, what is really needed on that app out in the field? I don't need the whole database. I just need what this person or individual needs to do their job. And so use the filter function, and that can be dynamically set because you can pass it an argument and say, okay, you know, the argument is their user ID, and I've saved that. So when they log in, you set that argument, and that argument's available, and then you can filter on that, or the date, or the status of these things, or anything you want, because you can literally filter on any of the columns that are available. And you don't have to actually show those columns. They can be in there. And that's how you do filtering in there. Now, I wanted to show you this, is once you've set it up, you'll see that this one I've already set up here, and so it's just got a select statement. Well, I can still go in here and go to the filter area here, and I can say, you know, customer ID is equal to, and then, you know, I can put in here a argument. I can define an argument. I can either put in a literal value, or I could define an argument and put it in here. So again, once you've set it up, you may see that you'll see SQL statement here. Just double click on that, and you can go to the filter tab and set your filter here. And you can even execute and test it within here to see if you're getting the data that you should, just from an experiment standpoint within the system here. So I can hit that. You'll see, but if I set a filter condition like customer ID is equal to alf key, you'll see that actually down below, alf key, it's, let's see, I think that may have a problem. Yeah, I've got to do this. I can go there, and execute, and there's, oh, didn't pull it. Did I have an execute? Oh, customer code. And I must not be doing it right here. Let me get rid of that. Okay, let's look at it. Execute the query. Customer code is alf key. I must have misspelled it. So you can actually test it, do all the pieces here, including what it's called arguments and what an argument is. So I'll go customer code is equal to, then I'll click on here. I can insert an argument. Oh, I have to define my arguments. Then I can add my argument in here, and let's say it's customer code. Okay. And then I can set that in the system, and once that's set, it will pull it from like the field on the box, and then when you run this filter, it's going to put in whatever that is for that particular person on that particular machine, and off to the races there. So when you first set it up, you can set it up there. If not, then you go into the SQL statement here, and you can go ahead and set it up from within that spot right there.
Awesome. All right. Another question. Here's a person who does a daily import of data every morning to update a SQL table. And right now the way they do it is that they manually go to an alpha web page and they click a button to import the new data. What they're wondering is, how can they make themselves obsolete? In other words, how can we get alpha to push that button for them every morning for them to do the input? What would be your suggestion for setting up some sort of something that runs on a chronological or timed basis?
I mean, if you want to kind of reuse what you have already, then you can just go ahead and keep that as a A5W page, but then use the task manager either on the Alpha or on the Windows server or on your Windows box. Because built into Windows for both the server and there, and it looks different on the server, well, it's similar, you can create tasks in here, and in that task you can say, you can use the curl command to call a web page. So that's actually the best way to do it. And I've done it before, and what you do is you create a new task. So I create a basic task, and I'm going to call this Call My Page Daily. Okay. Then you tell the trigger, I want to do it daily or whenever. Then it occurs every so many days. You can set start and sync and things like that. What do you want to do? Do you want to start a program, send an email, or display a message? Let's say it's those don't ever work anymore, so start a program. And in here you can put in C, and actually let me go ahead and find it real quick. Let's go to here. And I'm going to be a little off on the exact nomenclature, but bear with me. I can go to C, Program Files, A5V12, and then where's Alpha, or no, it's curl. We actually ship curl with this, so I'm just hitting my C's till I get there. A lot of C's in here.
For those of you unfamiliar with curl, curl is a programmatic way to call a web page or a web service and get information back. It's a very commonly used utility.
And then in here you put in HTTP / I think it's /, or it might be backwards. No, forward, I think. www.myserver.com / run process.a5w. Okay. And I may be off a little bit, so you'd have to play with it, but you just run the curl command, and there's great documentation online. But all I'm doing is running that local program called curl, giving it this. What curl does is it actually calls that web page. And when that web page is called, obviously your A5W script gets run, and you're able to run it. Now, a couple things about this you should know. It works out really nice. And once you've created this task wizard, Windows will run it. So the machine, and it's best to put it on a server where it's going to be up 24/7 and reboot automatically, etc., versus on someone's desktop. But the other thing you want to think about is that this page could be accessible to anybody. So you may want to pass in secret code equals 1, 2, 3, 4 or something like that. Is that ampersand? I think it is ampersand, right? Like that. Or is it question mark?
No, you'd start with question mark and then ampersand.
And then in your script, you would grab that secret code and compare it and make sure that, hey, yeah, this person called the web page and they want to do it. Now, another method is curl can do what are called post commands, which is a little bit more beyond the scope of today. But what you can do is instead of making it like a part of the URL here, you can actually just call the in page and then pass it some post variables like a form, HTML form, and then extract those post variables in your A5W page. So just a caution is that if you're inside your firewall, you probably don't care. Anybody can, you're the only one who knows that address, you're good to go. But if there's any kind of access to the outside world, think about how you're going to do a secret code or something like that to prevent just someone hitting that web page randomly, because there's crawlers out there that will do, who knows, it's just such a dynamic area. But again, use the task scheduler, put in your curl and feed it a curl command. And then once that curl command's in there, this will run. It will call that on a whenever basis. It will run that A5W page and automate it for you. So you're in good shape. You're halfway there. You just need to play with this, and you can experiment with it, before you get it fully online by creating like a dummy page that writes out to a disk when it gets hit, and watch what happens there. So that's what I would suggest.
Neat. Here's someone who's interested in working on a web application, but they would like to have context menus. So they'd like to be able to maybe right-click on a particular object on the screen, and there might be multiple objects on the screen, and have it pop up a little menu. But they'd like it to happen where the mouse is, not just anywhere.
So what you can do is Alpha has built into it a special type of container called a window container. So I'll click here. I'm just going to put here. Actually, let's go ahead and create a new UX, and this may be easier here. Okay. And I'll go here, and I'm going to add a, let's just add, we'll add a static text, and I'll say, click me. And then I'm going to put here, I'm going to add a container, and that container is going to be type of window, which is a special type of container. And if you ever have a question, there's some really good help right here on what it does from there, from that standpoint there. There's panel overlays and other stuff like that. And so there's different types that you can use that from there. But I'm going to click window. And then in that window, I'm going to go here and just go ahead and put another thing saying inside window. Now, what a window control is, it's hidden. You'll notice it has a different color to it. So you can set the properties of how it goes there. So I'll go ahead and put this as a drop-down window. And let's see, I think that we'll just give that a try and see what happens there. Okay. So I've got a window here. And you'll notice when I do the working preview, the only thing that's showing is the kick me. That's, that was last week. Let's move beyond that.
That was last week. Yeah.
This is click me. Actually, my girl put that on my back last week, so it's all funny until someone gets kicked. So I'm going to go here to the click me, and I'm going to go over here to the here, and there's actually, I think there's on a right click. Is there on a select? There's double click. There's click. I don't know if we have a right click. Have to check on how that, but I'll just do click for now just to show you that. And then I'll go window, and I'll go so open show container window, and then I can just say container window 1. And so now when I go here, you'll see there's my little window with the inside window, and you can put anything you want in there. It doesn't matter. It will just there. But when it's there, it's hidden. And then when you click out of it, it goes away. Now to right click on it, I'm not sure. You're in a web browser. You can do double clicks.
Assuming there's some event for right click that they were able to trap. Can you at least talk about how you would position the window?
Oh, okay.
Maybe to where the mouse was.
Well, it's going to be related to where I run.
Yeah.
So I have to add a behavior that show container window to something on the screen. And so that's, so you'll have a container on there. So I thought you wanted to have an object on the screen and right click on it and then show the window. Maybe I misunderstood there.
No, you got it, except what if there were multiple, for example, let's say you had a bunch of fields on the screen, right? And each of them was too small to show the entire contents of what was in them, so you only kind of got a truncated view of them. Yeah. But you wanted to right-click and have a menu appear. Let's say for now left-click. We'll work out the right-click in a second.
Yeah.
And have that appear just on that field that you clicked on, so you know what you're
Well, again, you just add the other tick, the field.
Yep.
And you could either refer back to this window or go to containers, create another container, call a window for that. Where is it? The window 1. And we'll go ahead and add some text in there. Okay, and then on this one, you would again associate opening that second window to the second window. So now when we use this, if I click on this one, it shows the first window. If I click on that one, it's showing the second one. Now notice something. This is kind of interesting. I didn't set the window type, so it defaulted to a modeless or modal window. So I can drag it around. So, and I can expand it and other things like that, then close it. So the way you do it is the button click doesn't do it. You go to the window itself and go to the window properties. And that's where you set the type of window you want. So you have modeless pop-up or drop-down. So you can go, drop-down. Then I go back in here, and now when I click on there, you'll notice the window now pops up as a drop-down window there. But you can see as I click on the different...
And it seems to hang out with the correct field, so it isn't like over in left field someplace.
Yeah, because... Yeah. And that is not less the quick. It's on this window. Drop-down by nature, it tells you the position. It's going to take the position of where click is. So let's go ahead and do that in pointer position. Let's show this. So you can also do this kind of style where you notice it has a little arrow saying where it got clicked from versus the one that doesn't. So the key thing to remember there is that the actual script for opening the window is kind of dumb. All it does is say, show window. The actual positioning style, everything else is done through window properties. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of other things you can do, like when it initializes, you could do drag scrolling, custom toolbars, you can get rid of things, so there's a lot of flexibility on that to create the kind of interface you're looking for. Now, as far as the right click there, I wonder, maybe that's a down hold or something like that.
We could take a look at that.
Yeah.
If you want to send in that question, it's kind of intriguing, and it would make a good example. Send it in to guides@alphasoftware.com, and let's see if we can't work out the solution for that.
Yeah, right click tends to be desktop. Web is always one click.
It is, but for people who are doing web, it's awfully nice to use a mouse. You've got it right there, and you've got the keyboard and all that. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. And then you just right click on it. Now notice when I right click here, it's actually triggering the browser's thing. So that may be part of the issue is right click is assumed in a browser. Let's go here. Yeah. So when I right click in a browser window, it actually brings up the browser window's behavior there. So I wonder if there's a way to override that. You might have to do a little reading on that to see if there's a way to override. I bet there is, but But as you notice, if I right click, it's bringing up actually Chrome's right click thing, which is inspect, reload, back, etc.
Fantastic.
Great question. Thank you.
Well, it looks like we've run over time again. Oh my goodness.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you everyone who attended. Thank you, Dion, for presenting, and thanks of you especially who asked questions and those who sent in the questions. So just send in your questions or anything you want to know about this seminar to guides, GUIDES, @alphasoftware.com. Today's session will be posted in the next couple of days. Yesterday's session will be posted, I think, by tomorrow, and we will be back with you next Wednesday. So thank you and have a great week. Take care and goodbye.